Okay, perfect. So, hello everybody, welcome back. Good evening. So, this is lesson number 5 of complete Java tutorial, and we are covering methods in Java. So, as we have already discussed in our earlier sessions, that we are going to complete methods in our next session, and this is where we are. If you guys have not seen my previous sessions, then please go ahead and watch it, because in that one you will be able to understand what all topics we have covered earlier. Uh, we have already covered in this tutorial about variable declaration and operators, conditional statements, looping, and all of those concepts. One coding session is also done today at 10 a.m. So I hope you have watched it. If you have not watched it, no problem. You can watch it later on, but please do watch it if you have not seen that. And if you guys are new here and do not know what is happening, so let me just introduce myself. Uh, Basically, we are CodeBeyond channel, and we are providing content on uh, different domain programming languages, and there are so many educators who are teaching you different topics on different things. Like, we have dynamic programming going on, we have DSA, we have CP, we have backend programming language, we have front-end programming language. I have also covered front-end programming language, in which I have showed you all HTML and covered all HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. And soon I'm coming up with jQuery and Tailwind CSS. So those all topics are covered there. If you have not watched it, go ahead and watch it. If you want to learn front-end programming, go ahead and see those courses. Now we are back with methods in Java. So this is the next lesson on complete Java tutorial, and let's see what is methods in Java. Okay. So my name is Ritwik Raj, and I am a corporate trainer. I've also worked as a subject matter expert and a research analyst in most of the edtech companies. I have 3+ years of teaching experience, and I've trained graduates and corporate employees from Edison and Capgemini. I've trained more than 30K students till now. It is increasing day by day. Subjects which I take is mostly into front end, back end, database languages, and interview tips and tricks guidelines. So those are the things which I take mostly. Also, I have taken 2 videos on interview tips and tricks. So if there is people who have interviews tomorrow or day after tomorrow, or in this week or in this month, go ahead and watch those interview preparation tips and tricks playlist that is there in CodeBeyond channel. It'll be really helpful for you, because it will help you and guide you to how to get prepared for interviews, how you can actually crack interviews. Okay, so you can use my code, which is RIT10, to get a free level sample test paper. If you do not know what is level, don't worry, as soon I'm going to tell you about it. But if you do know about it, then you must be knowing that we are providing free sample test paper, which you can get by using my coupon code RIT10. Now, talking about Relevel, many times candidates miss out on great opportunities due to multiple reasons. Sometimes candidates have done BSc or BCom degree, and they want to move into IT industries with lots of skill and talent. They have the projects, but still MNC companies reject the resumes just because they are from BSc or BCom degree. Many times they want B or BTech people also, but they also reject their resumes because maybe they are from tier 3 college. So these are some of the reasons why most of the MNC companies do not call you for interviews or getting hired. That's why Relevel came into picture. Now this is India's first test selling platform by Unacademy, which is helping job seekers find their dream jobs. So you can get a job based on skill and talent. You do not depend upon your degree or any other people in your network, right? So what are the benefits of participating in the Relevel test? Basically, you have to attempt a test which is of 1,000 marks. You have to score above 700 to get eligible for it, and once you do that, we'll be creating a profile for you, which will be shared among all our client companies which are offering 1,000+ job positions across business development, front development, and backend development. So with Relevel, you are in a great unique position to invite interest from companies instead of hunting of opportunities on your own. So this was all benefits about Relevel. Now, how you can register for Relevel? So you can see one particular link is given in the description, which you can just click on, and once you click on that link, you'll be able to go inside the website relevel.com, and you just give your mobile number and an OTP. Once you do that, you will be able to see this kind of page where you have to select the test of your choice. So you can select whatever skill do you have. If you have front-end development, select that, and once you do it, you can book a slot when you want to give the Relevel test. So you can choose any of the free date, and then you can book a slot. Slots are limited, so I suggest you book it fast. Now, once you do that, you have to fill in the details for the admit card. So full name, email ID, birth year, current state, gender, all of these things you can fill out, and then you can write my coupon code, which is RIT10, and click on apply. Once you do that, you'll be able to create account. You can click on create account, and this account will be created where you will get the sample paper. Once you download the sample papers, you'll be able to get an understanding of what kind of questions will be asked in your actual Relevel test. So go ahead and do register for Relevel right away if you have not done it. If you have done it and you have given the exam, then all the best for the result. If you have given the exam and if you have failed, then wait for 30 days. You can reattempt the exam again. If suppose you are not ready for the exam, if you think that 1000 marks is very too much for me and I don't have those skills, then go ahead and check out CodeBeyond channel. You can see what all sessions are going on there and which educator is taking what all topics. There are several different topics, different domains which are getting carried on. So you can upskill yourself, and once you are upskilled, you can go ahead and register for Relevel. So you can also join the Telegram channel. The link of the Telegram channel is given in the description. What happens when you join the Telegram channel? Basically, you will get updates on all our upcoming videos and which educator is coming live at what time with what topic. All these updates will be given here in this particular link. Also do subscribe the YouTube channel, which is CodeBeyond, and do hit the notification bell so that you get an update notifications on the YouTube app as well. Also do like and share so that more and more number of people will get to know about this particular channel. Okay, so let's get started with today's topic, which is Java methods. Before that, I have some things to say. So basically, we have covered some of the things till now, right? We have covered about all the basic stuffs like how to write a particular class or how to write an object, how to use scanner classes, how to get input from the user basically, and how to use variables, how to use the data types, what are the different data types, operators, what is bit manipulation, and we have talked about conditional statements, looping constructs. We have seen some of the basic coding stuffs like how the logic is written, how can you mix up your typecasting, how can you do typecasting, how can you write the variables and write a logic basically and run a program, right? So all these things we have seen, but we have never used methods, right? So that's what we are going to see now, and let's see why is it required. Without methods, can we write a program, and what does it do? So basically, what is a method? So method is basically something like one particular block of code which can be used again and again. Okay, so let's say that your mom has cooked some food in your home and she is saying that you can have this particular food again and again. The morning, like from day, afternoon, evening, you can have this food again and again. So let's say your mom and dad is going out from home for some work, okay, the whole day, and you are home alone and you are hungry. So your mom has cooked one particular cake, okay, one particular cake for you. And what you will do, morning at 9 a.m. you will go to the kitchen and you will have one piece of cake. That cake, one piece of cake, you will have it. And then afternoon again you will go to the kitchen, you will have one piece of cake. Again, maybe at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. you will again go back to the kitchen and you will have one piece of cake. So what are you doing? Your one particular thing is already there in the kitchen and you're just going and using it, right? You don't have to cook the food. You don't have to do anything. You have to just go there and use the cake or eat the cake, right? Same thing happens in method. So method is basically a block of code which is already designed for you, or you can also design, right? You have to just do it once and then you can use it anytime. Okay, so we'll talk about that more, but just understand in a normal way, method is a block of code which can be reused again and again, right? So do you recommend any book or any other resource for Java like doc or something that will revise everything in short? Yes, there is one book from Oracle itself. You can try that, but I don't prefer books. I do prefer videos, or I do prefer courses which is available. So not book in my case. If you are very much fond of reading books, you can go ahead and do that. But programming, what happens, books, you are not being able to understand that easily, right? It's because programming is something different which you do it practically. So basically courses and videos can only help you, and I think best of the best I'm providing you, but you can go ahead and check out other things as well. Yeah, I'm talking about OCJP. But again, that book is really very confusing, but that is one of the best one. Let's see. If you are fond of reading books, then you can go ahead with that, because that is basically to crack the exam of Oracle Java certification. So that will be really good if you can get that. But yeah, basic Java or normal Java, if you want to revise and all, you can go ahead and search it in YouTube. There are a lot of tutorials which is there in this, so you can go ahead and learn from there. Method and function is the same thing. Yes, it is the same thing. It's just that in C or C++ we call it as function, but in most of the programming languages like Java, where oops concept is there, then we call it as method. So basically, whenever you use classes, we do call it as methods. Okay, so we'll talk about it again. Can you share the notes and PPT on Telegram? It will be helpful. Yes, Tamu, I'm planning to do that. It's just that I cannot share the whole PPT. I have to copy and paste it in a different PPT. So it is taking time, but I have those things in plan. So I'll put it in the drive and you can access the drive. But right now it will take some time because I'm doing a lot of things. So, but I'm gonna share that. Don't worry. Okay, so method we have understood, right? But here you can see there are two syntax which I have written here. So one is public static void main string args. We have already understood this. If you have not seen the earlier sessions, please go ahead and watch it. This I have already made you explain, right? This is also a method, but this one is a predefined method. So basically, what is a predefined method? The method which is already given to us. So main method is a predefined method because it is the heart of the Java program. So you have to write this particular kind of methods. Next one is this one, public int addition, int num1, int num. This is what is called as user defined method. So in user defined method is basically the method which we create, which we can create, right? Now let's understand one by one what is happening here. So in earlier versions, like when we talk about Java 6 or something like that, right? When Java was not that famous. So what happened? There was two different kind of access things. So we have access specifier and access modifier, right? So an access specifier, basically four things will come: public, private, protected, and default. Okay. But in access modifier, we were having static and final. There were more strict FP and other things, but we'll not talk about that here. Static and final were considered as access modifier. But when Java 8 came and when the newer version came like Java 11 and then now Java 17, now this whole thing, this public, static, final, strict FP, private, protected, these all things is combined and call it as access modifier. Okay, so try to get this in your mind that there's no access specifier now. There's nothing called as access specifier. There's only access modifier, which is nothing but group of all access specifiers and access modifiers. Okay, so even if somebody is asking you what is access modifier, say that these are public, private, protected, static, final, all those keywords which we use to access things. Okay, or access classes from one another. That is what is here. That is what is this. Now let's come to void. Void, we already know it's a non-return type, so it does not return anything. Whenever you write this in any of the function, it will not return anything. So see, we have written this in our main method, right? So main method will not return anything. But have a look here. In this method, we have not written void, we have written int. This is also return type, this is also return type, right? So return type can be any data type, okay? It can be any data type. HDB channel, no, that is not good. I won't say it is good or not. You can have a look, but it's more complex. You won't be able to understand that because international people are there. I don't know how much you will understand from them, right? So that's why don't watch those videos. Book, if you're talking, then go ahead with that. And if videos, then go ahead with any YouTube video. That will really help you. Right now you can follow this one. Okay, so here you can see what is happening. Return type, right? So it can be anything. It can be string, it can be character, it can be float, it can be double, it can be anything, right? But when you write void, remember that that method will not return any value. Whenever you write int or something, character, string, then that particular method has to return some value. It has to return some value. Okay, So suppose if you have any method which is not returning anything, you put void there. Suppose if you have any method which is returning something, you will put int there, or any particular data type depending on the value which is returning. So if suppose it is returning a integer value, you have to put int. If suppose it is returning a character value, you have to put char here. Okay, we'll see the programs and you will get to understand, don't worry. So main is a method name. Here also addition is a method name, but this method name is predefined. This method name is user defined. Here we have some arguments which is again predefined. You must be knowing what is this. This is an array. The array name is args and it is consuming all the command line arguments. So that's what it is having. And here we have some, this is not called as argument. Don't go to this. This is not an argument. This is a parameter. I'll talk about that later, but this is the syntax, a normal syntax of writing a function or a method. Okay, let's move. So let's see how does it work with the return values and not returning values. First of all, I'll just open my IntelliJ IDEA and have a look here. So we were doing this codes, right? We will remove this for now. And let's say what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write a normal program here for explaining how the method works. Fine. So let's have a look. So let's say what I'm going to do here is I am going to create a function. So what is the syntax of that? We have to put up a return, we have to put up an access modifier and then a return type. So let's say I'm putting here as, or we are just putting a normal one, void, and then I'm just putting a function name. So let's say I'm going to put up here addition. This is my function name. Always the function will have this kind of brackets, right? So that's what I'm putting. Now understand, why am I writing this here? Do you remember I told you classes will have two things, right? One is your variable and one is your functions. That means all the classes, all the blueprints will have the states and the property. The states are the variables and the properties are the functions, right? So why am I writing this here? I should not write it here. I'll remove this and I'll put it inside this main class. Okay, I'll put this inside this. So see, now what I'm doing, let's say that I have some values. I have I equal to 5 and I have some other value, let's say j equal to 6. Okay, so this is my state. Can you see that? This is my state. Okay, and this is my property. So in this property I can write anything. So let's say I'm going to write here system.out.println I plus j. So it's gonna add that and it's gonna print it, right? This is one of the method which I have created. This is how I've created a method. Now have a look here what I'm going to do. So let's say in this main method, inside the main method, this method, right, I need it to work. So if I just run this, 1 second, it's gonna give me the error because this is wrong. You can see here, this is not even getting me a, 1 second. If I run this, yeah, can you see here what is happening? Nothing is happening here because in the main method, in the heart of the program, I have not written anything. Everything is written inside what? Inside the class, right? Now, what have you done here? What have you done here? You have just created a blueprint. That's it. You have just created a sheet of paper in which you have written the state and the property. That's it. You have not created the real object, or you are not calling the function. This function is not called. What is calling a function? It's called as invoking a function. Invoking one means इसको चलाना पड़ेगा ना. ये तो बस लिख के मैंने छोड़ दिया. इसको चलाना भी तो पड़ेगा. मेरे को heart of the program, that is main method को बोलना पड़ेगा ना कि you have to run this method. So how we are going to say that? So can you see this what I have done? Yeah, that is not static. So can you see what I have done? I have written here addition and then bracket and then semicolon. What is this? This is called as function calling. Okay. So basically what I'm doing function calling. Function calling means if you write this thing, then only your code execution will go directly from here to here. सबसे पहले एग्जीक्यूशन कैसे होता है? फर्स्ट एग्जीक्यूशन विल कम टू मेन मेथड. From main method it goes below it. So inside that, what is happening? Calling of function is happening. So it sees that a function is getting called, so it directly goes here, it directly jumps there. So now if there is any error, so this, yeah, I have not created any object, right? So that's why it is giving me to, that is why it is telling me to make everything as a static right now, because I've not created any object right now. So all the things should be static. So if I run this, you can see that you're getting 11, right? Why you're getting 11? Because I'm calling the function, and once it is getting called, it is seeing that you are printing the addition of two numbers. That is what is happening. If you make it another class, that would be a good practice, right? Yes, it would be a good practice. Right now, I'm not creating any other class. I don't want to confuse you. That's why, because I've not reached till the topic of oops concept. Remember that I have not reached till class and object. Okay, so that's why I'm just doing everything in this class main. You can create another class. That's a good practice. Yes, but again, here I'm not doing that because you will get confused. I don't want to do that. That's why. Okay, now why I'm making everything static? Because you guys know, we have seen in one of the session that static things are getting called first. That's why I'm doing that. Let me do one more thing. What I'm going to do here is, let's say, I'm creating an object. Now I know how to create an object, right? Scanner classes mein humne dekha tha how to create an object. Remember, we have told you that scanner class, if it is already a predefined class, we have to just create an object, right? So how do we create it? We write scanner, then sc or any kind of object you can create, and then equal to, and then new keyword, right? Same thing we'll do here. So what is the name of our class here? Our class name is main, right? And then we need to write any particular object name. So let's say I'm putting here obj, right? And then you have to put down the new keyword, and then after that, what do? We write the constructor name. So let's say I'm putting the constructor name. What is a constructor? It's a special function whose name is similar to the name of the class. So that's what I've done here. This is the line where I have, oh, can you see the code now? This is the line where I have actually created the object here. Okay, now what is the meaning of this? This means that now the real object is created. So what I can do, I can use this object to call the method. So what I can do here is, let's say I'm going to write here addition. Okay, you can see here. Now I have not written static anywhere. Can you see that? I have not written static here. I have not written static here. So what is happening? So basically, when I did not create any object, my program was not being able to understand that what is that addition. So I had to put static there so that program can understand कि मुझे static वाली चीजें पहले solve करनी है. I have to execute the static things first, right? So that's why it was telling me, it was guiding me कि put static here, put static there. But now that I have created the object, I can call this addition. So if I run this, you can see it, you're getting 11 here, right? Right? Now, let's understand in a much more better way. Okay, let's understand in a much more better way. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to this and I'm going to create another class. So we'll take one example. So let's say the car wala example. Do you remember the car one example where I told you that we'll be having one car and I want to design that car. So first I'll create the blueprint of that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a new Java class here, and I'm just going to write here car, or I can just name it as my car. Okay, so this is my class which is called as my car. Okay, and now inside that I'll create some states and variable of it. So this is the states. Okay, what is the state? State can be its height, right? It can be its height. So let's say I'm going to write here 254. Okay, it can be its width, right? One second, HDB, I will read your comment. Just 1 second, wait. I'm going to take this, and let's say I'm going to mention one more thing. So let's say I'm going to mention here string name, or I can just write here color name. Okay, so this is the blueprint where I've written the state of the car. So we'll take only this much right now. Okay, we'll take only this much right now. And now we will be writing the properties. So we know that the states are variables, and we know that properties are functions. So here we are, functions means methods. So we are going to write the functions now. So we are going to write the functions. Let's say I'm going to write here, what is the function of a car? For entertainment. So let's say I'm going to write here entertainment. We are not going to mention it in a capital letter because that will become a class. So we don't want to do that. So this is the entertainment, and here I can just write that this car is amazing. So this is one of the property which I have created. Now we can also create some other properties. What can be the other use of car? So it can be for driving. So we can just write here driving, right? And then inside that we can again have a system.out.println, and here we can write amazing features. Fine. So these are the two properties which we have created. You mentioned static over there because we can access by a different object. We don't need to make it again and again, right? Yes. So we do not have to make it again and again. That's why. But yeah, object was also not created. When object is not created, you have to place a static there. That's why we did that. If you remember one of the slide where I showed you the meaning of public static void main, that was written for static, that you don't have to create the object for static, right? So we did not create object at that time. So we need to mention everywhere static, because how Java will understand that what is that, right? So if you have not created object, your Java program is incomplete. It's always a saying that without class and object, you cannot write a Java program. So that's what. Okay, now this is done. So in our class, we have our states, we have our variables, we have our properties. And now what we are going to do is we are going to write our main method inside it. So public static void main string arguments, and inside this we can start creating our object, because now we have the blueprint. In the blueprint I have all the information, so we can create our object. So how we can do that? My car obj. So let's say I'm giving a name to my car. So let's say I'm giving a name to it as Audi, and then new keyword. Then I have to write the constructor. So I'm just going to mention here this. Fine. So my object has been created. Now I can use this. Now see what I'm doing. The same thing I'm doing what we have done here, right? We are using the object and then we are calling the property. But what is the internal meaning of this? Let's try to understand. See, when you have created your object, when the car is in front of you, what you're going to do? You're going to go there, open the door and sit, right? So when you sit in the car, you can now access the state of the car and the properties of the car which you have written in the blueprint, because you can see the car. So you can, by seeing the car, you can say what is the color of it. By seeing, you can say what is the height of it. By seeing, you can say what is the width of it. By driving it, you can say that the feature of this car is driving and for entertainment purpose. When you sit in the object, then only you can do that. So when we sit in the object, that means when we use the object, then we can access these state and properties. So we can access any of these state and properties. So let's say if I write here driving, I'm basically calling the method. If I do that, I can just run this and it should work. So let me just save this. I'll open up here, because see here your main, your file is not coming mycar.java. So you have to run it from here once. So run mycar.main. You can see it says amazing features. Can you see that? And now here also it came mycar, right? So that is how it works. Now let's say I don't want to call a method. I just want to see the height value or color value. At that time, what you have to do? You have to just write. Yeah, it's not a local variable because I've not created any other class, right? It's not taking that. So instead of it, what I have to do, I have to create a local variable. Can you see what is happening? It's creating a local variable for me. So you can choose it. You can choose to do that. But let me just check. How long will this run means? This session will be for 2 hours. It can finish in 1.5. Let's see how the topic goes. Okay, so this is how you are calling your methods and this is how you are creating it. Fine. What you can also do is you can basically this course will be till 3rd Feb. So till 3rd Feb everything will get finished. The whole tutorial, the whole schedule is given in the trailer video. If you have not watched the trailer video, please go ahead and watch it. You'll be able to understand. Now see, if I don't want this particular things to be here, right? What you can do, you can remove it and put it in another class and you can create the class of that there, okay? I mean to say, you can create a class only for this main method and above you can create a class. Let's say car. And you can have all of these things here. Okay. And you can create the object of that. Fine. So you can do in this manner as well. So you can see here, this is also running. Okay. Let me just show you one more thing. These are not local, so that's why it is not happening. I can fetch this here. If I want to just print the color name, I can do that. Right? So if I run this, amazing features and then black. Can you see that? Okay. So this is how you can call a method. So we have understood how to call a method and how to write a method. Now let's try to go back to our PPT and let's try to see what else do we have. So we were talking about the return type and no return type. So let's talk about that a little bit more. If a method does not return any value, then the return type will be void as defined below. So you can see here, what is this particular problem? We have written public void add int num1 comma int num2. Let's try to understand what is that. So basically, if I go back to main.java, right, I have given here I equal to 5, j equal to 6, right? That's what I've given here. Suppose what I want to do is, I don't want to do this. What I can do is, I can write here itself int I, int j, okay, in the bracket itself. I'm not going to put up anything here. Okay. So what is this called as? See, a function or a method can have parameters. Parameters means that it can take any variable, any kind of data type variable in those brackets. Okay. And when you're calling these, right, then you have to put down the values which you want to pass. So what is happening here? I'm calling, right? But do we have this kind of method? Do we have this kind of method? See, this method and this method is different. How? This method is a default method. These methods are default methods because this doesn't have any parameter. And these are parameterized method because these are having parameter. So let's say here we have two parameters, right? So we have to pass some values here. So I'm going to pass here 5 and 6. So when you're doing this, right, what is happening? These are called as arguments. So you're passing arguments to these parameters. So what is happening basically, you can see I did not write I colon. It is showing me I colon. So basically what is happening? This 5 value is going to this I and this 6 value is going to this J. Okay. So if I run this, you can see it still shows me 11, right? So that's what is happening. Basically this is what is argument. You need to understand that this is called as argument. Do not get confused uh, with this. This is called argument and this is called parameter. If you are asking that what is the difference between these two, then I must tell you that parameters are written when you are declaring the function. When you're writing the method, when you're declaring the method, then only we write the parameter. But when we are calling the method, then we call it as argument. Okay, so this is an argument. This 5 and 6 are argument and this one is parameter. Okay, so this is what they are. Okay, this is what is your parameter and argument. Now we were talking about non-return types, so let's go back. So methods with not return, that is what is parameter that they are using here. Now if I am calling this add method with two values, let's say 5 and 6, so what is happening? Some is getting calculated and some is getting printed. So in this whole function, anything is getting returned? No, right? We are not returning anything here, right? We are just adding two numbers and we are printing it, correct? So that's why we have written here void. Is the same case which is happening here. We have void here and we are just adding and printing it. So let me just also write it here. It has, let's say I'm just going to write here sum, and let's say I'm just putting it in this manner. Okay, so what is happening here? The calling is happening, it is getting called, arguments is passed into the parameters, it is resultant value is getting printed. So if I again run this, same thing will come, which is 11. Fine. Now let's say what I'm doing is I'm not printing it here. Okay, what I'm going to do here is, one second, let me first show you how this looks like. So you can see here, if a method returns a value, if the method is returning some value, you can see here, we are doing the same thing, but we are not printing it here. We are returning. So we are returning one value. That's why we have we have kept here int. We have not kept here void. Okay. So that is what is the difference in void and int. Okay. So because it is returning a integer value, that's why we are writing that there. Now what we can do is, let's say I'm going to just comment it up and here I'm going to just write return sum. So now it is returning a value and here I will mention int because it's gonna return something. Okay. Right. What is the comment? Your class, you can also pass the penalty. Your car class is default modifier. Car class is default modifier. Yes. We cannot access it in different package, right? We cannot. Default. If it is default, yeah, we cannot access in a different package. Correct. Let's give this in another integer. Okay. Am I doing anything wrong? Yeah, the argument. That's why it is showing me a red sign. So, uh, now let's print it. So the result we need to print. Okay, so you can see here what is happening. Now I've just made it in a different way. So what I've done is I'm calling it here. That means the function calling is happening here. Okay. Now once it goes there and do all of these logic, it is returning sum. Returning sum means it is returning the result. So sum is having 11 in the value as the value, and that is getting returned where? Here. So it will say 11 here, and what is the variable in which I am keeping this 11? Result, and then I'm printing that. So let's see what happens. If I run this, it is going to print 11 again. Can you see? But this time I am returning from the function. I'm not printing it there itself, right? You can also do it in the same manner. You don't have to even write this particular statement. You can just call this particular function directly here, right? That will also work. Okay, so this is some of the things which you should be knowing. Now let's move ahead. Now there are some naming rules which is there in the method, right? So it cannot be a Java keyword. You cannot name a particular, because it's an identifier, and identifier cannot be named as a Java keyword. So that is one thing which you need to follow. Cannot have spaces. You cannot have spaces in any of the method. See, have a look. Whenever we did any naming, right, I told you that class names will always start with capital letters, and if there is a method, the method names will always be having a small letter case. But suppose if I want to write some bigger name, let's say I want to write here addition of two numbers, so of 2, we have to write something like this. So what is happening here? Basically the second and the third word, so leaving the first word, from the second word, all the words first letter should be capital. This is also one of the naming convention of functions, of methods, right? So all the methods should have the first word in lowercase, but from the second word, the first letters of every word should be capital. That's what we are doing here, right? So you can see that, correct? So this is also one of the naming convention. What else? You can see here, cannot begin with a digit. That's very obvious. All the identifiers are also having the same rules. Cannot begin with any other symbol rather than dollar or an underscore. This also I have written in the identifier rules, if you remember. Can be a verb in lowercase. It's always being in a lowercase. Read this. Can be a multi-word name that begins with a verb in lowercase followed by adjective or nouns. So don't worry about these verbs and adjective or nouns. That's gonna come automatically. Like right now in my example also, you can see it came automatically, addition of 2. So don't worry about noun, adverbs and adjectives and verbs. Can be a multi-word with the first letter of the second word and each of the following words capitalized. That's what I've been telling you. Should be descriptive and meaningful. Addition of 2. So that is also a descriptive and a meaningful function or a method. Now, till here, any doubt? If you don't have any doubt, we'll move ahead and we'll see what's next. So we have written one of the program here, but just a normal program in which we have created a class calculator, in which there is one method which is add. Can you see that? Method to add two integers, right? And then we have method to subtract two integers, and then we have method to multiply two integers. Have a look for just 2 minutes, because it doesn't need any kind of explanation. So just have a look what is happening here, and then we will move to our next part. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then we have the division also. You can see that. Now in public static void main, calculator was the class name. So I am creating the object of that calculator class. Also, if you notice here, we have written here instantiate the calculator class. Do you remember in one of the session I told you that object is also called as instance, right? So that's why this word instantiate. So whenever I say instantiate the class, that means create an object of that class. That is what we are doing here. We are creating an object of the class calculator. So obj calc is one of the object, and then we are calling the functions. We can call add, we can call mul, whatever function you want to call, you can call with the argument, and that is how it is working. So do try this particular code in your any ID whichever you are using, and try to see whether it is working or not. Meanwhile, I want to also show you some more things. So yeah, this is what is called as camel casing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is going to remove all of these. Going to remove all of these as well. Not going to use any parameter. Instead, I'll just use here int I, int j, and also I'm going to just print here I value, j value, and I'm going to directly call this. Okay, so there's no parameter, there's no argument. It's just that I have taken two variables I and j, and I'm just calling this function. So let's see what happens first of all. So if you look here, you can see what is the output, right? You can see the output is 0 and 0, right? So why is it 0 and 0? What is happening here? Now this is one of the very important concept which you should be knowing, because in Java mostly this is the most important part. So basically I have not given any values to my variables, right? No values have been given here, right? Not even in the parameters, not even in the function or method I have passed any argument or parameters. Nothing has been done here. So there's no sign of any value, but still I and j value is giving me 0 and 0. If I do not create this object, right? Let's say if I'm not creating this object, I'm directly calling this method. Okay. So you know that this is gonna tell me that you have to make all of the things as static, right? So let's say I'm doing that. I am doing it. Right. I'm doing this. Okay. Now there's no error. So let's just run this. You can see here still we are getting 0, 0. Correct? So what is happening here? Now basically what is happening is in all our Java programs already a default constructor is there. Okay. Even if you don't write it, already this default constructor is there. And what does this constructor do? This constructor will initialize your variables to a default value. Okay. So integer default value is 0 always. So what this hidden constructor do? This hidden constructor always make sure that they initialize whatever variables you have taken. So even if you take any other kind of even if you take any other kind of even if you take any other kind of data types, you will be able to get the default value. I'll show you that later on. Right now what we'll do is, you can see there's no constructor created here, but still there's a default constructor which is making my I and j value as a 0 value, right? So let's just remove this, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring back my calling, right? This calling thing, and here you can see that I have a default constructor, correct? Now this default constructor, what it is doing, it is giving my my particular integer or any kind of other data types a particular default value. So let's see if I'm writing here float j, right? There's no need of this line basically. Going to take one char, going to take one string, and double, let's say short, long, and let's just print all of these, right? So please, can you give us some more interesting examples apart from this add and mul? We can, and that is there in the next slides. Let's just understand this one first, and then we are going to move to the next slide. Fine. So this is what I'm printing here, right? And there's no values which is passed here. There's nothing happening. So let's check out what is happening in the end. So you can see here, all these values are having some default values, right? So you can see here for integer we have this 0, for float we have 0.0, for character we have this kind of null character, and then for string also we have null. For double we have 0.0 again. For short and long we also have 0 and 0, right? So this is what is your default values which it will provide for all the data types, and this will be there in Java because of default constructor. So default constructor is providing these values. What does it do? It initializes your data types. Okay. Yeah, that's what I told. String null. Fine. So let's go back. Now, this, I think the previous example you must have understood. This is very easy. You can try this in your home whenever you're free. Let's try to learn about parameter and argument. We already have seen about this. Parameters are the list of variables specified in the method declaration. Arguments are the actual values that are passed to the method when it is invoked. We have told this. When a method is invoked, the type and order of arguments that are passed must match the type and order of parameters declared in the method. Now this is something which is we have not seen. So what is it saying? First of all, it is saying parameters are the list of variables specified in the method declaration. We know that. Arguments are the actual values that are passed to the method. We know that. When a method is invoked, the data type and the order of argument that are passed must match the type and order of parameter declared in the method. That means if I have any method, if I have any method which is having some parameter, oh god, let's say what I'm doing here is I'm putting up here int I and int j. Okay, and let's print up some. Okay, and here we have to give some values. Now understand, if your data type here of parameter is int and int, you have to mention integer values only. You cannot give 5.5 and then 6.6. If you do that, you can see there's an error coming up here, right? Why? Because it's not matching the type of that value. Let's say that if I am giving here 5, 5. This is gonna work because integer, both the values are integer, and it's gonna work. Let's say I'm putting up here it as float. So first of all, we need to change this as well. And second of all, we need to change this as well. But you can see here, it is not giving me any kind of error, right? Let's run this. Let's check out what is happening. If you look here, You're getting 10.0. Can you see that? Why? Because my sum is basically float, and this is taking the value 5.0. This one is taking 5.0. That's why. Now if I give 5.2, still here you have to give f, so that it takes the value of 5.2. See, if I run this, you can see it's gonna give me 10.2, right? Now suppose if I give here 5.2f and here I'm just giving 5, this is also gonna give me error. Why? Because the first value here is int, so we need to provide here int only. We cannot provide here float. Okay, so the order and the data type should match in the parameter and in the argument. Okay, so this is the correct way of writing it. The order and the data type is matching in both of these things. So that is how you need to write the code. Fine, that is what it is saying here. Now, a method can accept primitive data type such as int, float, double, and so on, as well as reference data types such as arrays and objects as a parameter. So it can take any kind of data type values in the parameter. We can pass also any kind of argument values. Fine. Now, this was my parameter and argument. Now, there is one of the code which is, see, you must have heard about call by value and call by reference in your C language. If you do not know C language, don't worry. But there is a concept of call by value and call by reference in our C language, because in C language we have pointers. So in pointers, basically, we use the address to store, and then using the address we write the code of call by reference. Here you can see what we have done is we have written two particular programs. One is passing argument by value and one is passing argument by reference. So let's check out what is the difference between these two. So if you look here, what have we done? We have one class which is called as pass by value. We have written here one function which is setVal, which is a void. That means it is not returning anything. And we have one parameter here which is int num1, right? Num1 equal to num1 plus 10. So basically what it is doing, sometime later on I'll call this function with the value and it will get added to 10 and it will just store a value num1, right? In the main method, what I'm doing, int num1 equal to 10, and then I have created a particular object of pass by value which is obj, and then I'm calling the setVal method with num1. Num1 is 10, so 10 will go there, 10 plus 10 will become 20, and now num1 value will be 20. Now if you can see here, we are printing down value of num1 after invoking setVal is. So tell me whether num1 will be 10 or 20, right? Num1 value is getting changed, but will it be accessible here, or whether it will give me an output of 20 or 10? Do tell me that. So meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll create this particular class in my IntelliJ IDE. So let's go back here and let's create this class. Just going to write here pass by value. So this is one of the class which I have created, and we are now going to just write the program. So I'm just going to increase this, decrease this. Okay, so in this, what do we have? We have our public void setVal. The other word should be having the first letter capital. That's what we are doing. And then we should write int num1, and here we should be adding a 10 to that number. So doing that, and now we will write our right. So inside this we need to create our object. So what I'm going to do here is okay, and then I'm going to call that so let's say I am putting up here it as Is this how they have done? No. So they have kept another value num1 equal to 10 there. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. So we are going to give here num1 equal to 10. And inside that, what we have done, pass by value object we have created. The next part is to call this, but here we are not going to put down the value. I'm just writing that and we are going to print it up. So let's print it up. Value of num1 after invoking setval is. I'm just going to write here num1, right? There's no error, so everything is fine. Let's just check out what is happening. So if I run this, let me just run it from here because we cannot run it from there. So you can see what is happening. You can see the value of this is 10 only. It is not 20, right? Why is it so? Why is it that the value has not been changed? Can anybody tell me? Put it in the live chat. I think my video is stopped. Yeah, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Why is it not happening? This is passed by value, right? So how is it working? If you know C language, if you know call by value, you must be knowing what is happening here. If you do not know that, please do let me know. If anybody knows what is happening here, then please put it down in the live chat so that I can understand. Some of you must be knowing about it. Anybody? No. So have a look here what is happening. So basically this num1, right, what we have created, this is inside main method, right? So which kind of variable is it? Which kind of variable is it? Because it's inside class and then inside main method. And I've told you when I was teaching you types of variables, I've told you about 3 variables: instance, local and static. Now we have one of the class and then inside we have the method, and inside that we are creating this. It is a local variable, and what we are doing is we are creating an object of pass by value and then we are passing that num1 there. So 10 will go there, right? 10 will go here, but it creates a copy of num1 there. It creates a copy of num1. This num1 and this num1 is now different. It's the same, the name is same, but the memory is different. So this num1, when I have created this num1 has been created inside one memory where the value of that is 10. But as soon as I send it in the function, in the class function, which is setval, this will have another memory location, and there the value is getting updated to 20. And here we are not printing that 20, right? Did you see? We are not printing that. What we are doing it, we are coming back and we are printing here. So see, this statement is inside this main method, right? So it is only printing num1. Let's say what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write here s out, and then I'm going to just say num1. Okay, so let's run this. You can see here what is happening. So it is giving me 20. So in this region, in this place, in this block of code, the value of num1 is 20, which is the another memory location. So for num1 there are 2 memory locations now. One is happening here and another one is this one. So this value is only bound to this area and the 10 value is now only bound to this area. That's why Here we are getting 10, but here we are getting 20. So what have we learned from here? That it is called by value. So we are calling it by the value. Okay. So changes will not happen. It actually creates a copy. Same thing happens in C language. When we write call by value wala code, then it creates a copy. So the changes do not occur in the memory. Okay. Fine. Now let's do the pass by reference and let's see the code for that. So in that, we will talk about how this pass by reference happens, because in Java, we do not have a topic called as pointers, right? So let's see how do we do it using reference. So let's check out this one. Now here you can see that here we have a class circle and we have this particular function which is get pi, and we are returning 3.14. We are just returning one of the value which is a decimal value. That's it. And then we are having a class pass by reference in which we are having the main method, right? Yes. And then we are providing a method here, calculate area, in which there are two things. One is your circle obj pi and double rad. Now understand what is happening here. Please understand this very clearly. If you look at this code, there is something which you will find very abrupt, right? So what is happening here is, let's start executing programs from the main method. So if you look at this particular program, and if I directly go to void main, first what I'm doing, I can see that they have created one object of pass by reference, right? So there's an object which has been created, which has name as p1. Now using the p1, they are calling the method which is calculate area, which you can see here, right? And this is also having two of the argument, and there is also two parameters, so it will match. But have a look at the argument. What kind of argument is there? Can you see new circle? That means, is it the right hand side of the object creation syntax? Do you remember the object creation syntax? Do you remember how we create the object? Can you see this? This is how we create the object. So we write the new keyword and we write the constructor. Same thing is happening here. We are writing the new keyword and then we are writing the constructor. Why is it constructor? Because we have a class which is named as circle. So constructor is a special method whose name is same as class name. So it is the right hand side of the object creation. And have a look at the parameter. Is it the left hand side of the creation of an object? What happens in the left hand side of the object creation? We write the class name and then we write the object name. That's the same thing what we have written here. So obj pi is basically the object name. We can do this. Yes, we can do this. How we can do this? Because see, if you can write a variable name here and you can write a value there, what happens internally? Variable name equal to value. Assignment is happening, right? Same thing we can do with our objects also. So we are creating an object by passing it as an argument to the parameter. So we are creating a particular object in the calling itself. Okay, this is what is called as pass by reference in passing arguments by reference in Java. Because here we don't have the concept of pointers. We do not play with addresses here. That's why we do something like this. Now, what is the meaning of doing like this? So you can see here, if we're creating a circle object, right? So we can access this getPI method, right? Because till this function is not called, you have not created any object of the class circle. So you won't be able to fetch this particular getPI function. So see what we have done. ObjPI we have used. What is ObjPI? ObjPI is the object of circle. And through that it is calling getPI function. So from here it directly goes to getPI function, gets the value 3.14 into RAD. That means radius. What is the radius value? 2. So 3.14 into 2 into 2. What will be the answer? That will come inside area and it will get printed. So what is the meaning of it? The meaning of it is, if you have any particular class, if you want to use that class properties, then you can use pass by reference, something like this, to create an object and you can call that. Okay. If you have not understood this, I'm gonna again explain in just 2 minutes. I'll just take some break, and meanwhile you can just revise whatever we have seen till now. Again, I'm going to explain pass by reference once more. Okay, so let's try to understand this particular code again, and then we are going to see some more examples based on method. Okay, fine. So here you can see what have we done. We have a class circle, and inside that what are we doing is we are providing a method which is get pi, and inside that we are returning a value which is a double value, that means a float value. And then we have a class which is passed by reference, inside which we have a function. So normally the Java program execution starts from main method, so we are going to start from there. The main method, we have created one object p1 of pass by reference, so we can call pass by reference any property or values using p1. Okay, I'm going to explain again. So basically, let's start again with the main method. So in main method, what we are doing, we are creating an object of pass by reference. P1 is the method. P1 is the object. P1 is the object of pass by reference, using which I'm calling which method? Pass by reference का class का ही method ही है. Calculate area is the method of pass by reference class only. So I'm calling that. But inside calculate area, I want to use this function, whatever it is returning, I want to use that. Now how can we use that? क्योंकि ये तो different class में लिखा है. I've written this thing in a different class. How can we use this information in my current function or in my current class? How can I do that? So this is what is called as passing by reference, passing arguments by reference. So what are we doing? We are providing a reference. That means an object. We are creating an object while I am calling a function using an argument. So what I'm doing, this new circle is the right hand side of the object creation, and this circle objpi is the left hand side of the object creation. So what are we doing here is whenever we call a method, we write the argument and we pass it to the parameter, right? So what happens if I'm writing here double rad double radius equal to 2? That's what is gonna happen. Double rad equal to 2, that means radius का value 2 हो गया है. Correct? Same thing is happening here. Circle objpi equal to new circle. So we are creating an object by calling the method through an argument saying that objpi is the object of circle class. Okay, and then you can see here what I'm doing. Double area equal to objpi dot get pi, because now I have created the object of circle. So now I can call the get pi function. So you can see objpi dot get pi. Now we can call this. So it is returning a 3.14 value. So here 3.14 value will come internally into rad value is 2, which I have passed. So 3.14 into 2 into 2, it's gonna calculate and put it in the area, and that's what we are printing. This is how it's gonna work, and that is what is called as passing argument by a reference. By what time you would come? The timing of this schedule is 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So one session is at 3 p.m., one session is at 7 p.m. But if any changes are occurring in the schedule, that is going to get updated in the Telegram. So if you have not joined the Telegram channel, please do join it so that all the updates will be given to you in that particular channel. Okay. So I think you must have understood till here, right? Now let's try to understand something more, or let me just give you some of the questions and you need to answer it, what it's gonna give me the output. Okay, so let's try to do something else. What I'm going to do here is not going to create any object. I'm just going to write here my function, and I'm going to just write here Ritwik. Similarly, here there will be no or. Just write here this much, and I'll just change this to my function. We'll remove this, we'll remove this, and we will write here name. Yeah, so this should be static. Okay, so remember I told you that functions is something which is a block of code which can be called again and again, right? So but that thing we have not seen till now. See, this is a function, this is a block of code, but where are we calling it again and again? Whenever we have called a function, we have only called once, right? So what is the meaning of saying that we can call it again and again? If I, 1 second, I think I need to change this. So if I run this, I'm getting Ritwik, right? What if I do it again? So let's say I am calling it several times, right? And I'm just changing the values. So let's say I'm going to change the values to Yash, or let's say Rahul, and let's say Mohan. Okay. Now if I run this, what's going to happen? It's going to print all the names Ritwik, Yash, Rahul, Mohan, right? Now this is just a very simple example which I've showed you when I'm saying that a function can be called again and again or can be invoked again and again, right? But imagine that if this particular function is containing a whole lot of logic, okay, a whole lot of logic, and I want to call this function again and again in my code so that that logic can be reprocessed again and again, and I get different outputs, right? Then the work will be so much less, right? Because I just have to call the methods. I don't have to write the methods again and again, right? I don't have to write the logic again and again, correct? So that is the advantage of using functions. That is the advantage of using methods, fine. But let's say what we are doing here is I have another function. Let's say I have function 1, and here I am passing int num1, okay, also int num2. I'm doing this, right? And I'm just going to print something here, num1 plus num2, right? And now I'm just going to change this to my function 1, this one also my function 1. Now you can see here what is happening. So I have two functions. No object has been created for any class. There's only two objects. There's only two functions, two methods in which both the methods are different from one another. How they are different from one another? As we can see that the first function is having a string name, which is a string parameter, and the second one is having two integer values, right? But if you look here, this is not giving me any error, this is not giving me any error, but these two are giving me errors. Why? Because this is my function 1, and my function 1, the parameter is a little bit different, right? So what I have to do, I have to change this. I have to change this particular thing here. So I have to give two values. So let's say I'm going to give here 5 and 8. Now it's not giving me any error. Similarly, what I have to do, I have to change these also. So I can give here, let's say this much, okay? Now it's not going to give me any particular error. But what I'm going to do again here is I'm going to create one more function. And this time, this will be an empty function. No parameter. So this is the default parameter. And in this one, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write here, now you have understood. Okay. So this is what I've written here. And now what I can do is I can just call my function 3. Fine. So let's have a look what is happening. See, there is no error here. That means our code is correct. But have a look. I have created 3 logics, right? One logic, second logic, third logic. All the logics were different. See, this is only printing the name. This is printing the sum of 2 values. And this is just printing one normal statement, right? So all 3 logics are different. And I created 3 functions for that. Different functions for that, right? Because there are 3 logics, so separate functions. And now I can call it anytime. See, I've called this my function 1 2 times. I've called this my function where I've only used the name, that also 2 times, and this one only 1 time. It will work. All of these 5 functions will be called and all of this will work. Can you see? 13, Yash, and then Mohan. And then now you have understood. So all of these are working, right? Correct? Now let's say I have the same function. I have the same function named 2 times. Can you see that? Can you see that what I've written? I'm removing the empty one. I'm removing the default method. I'm removing that. But what I have written here is I've written 2 methods with the same name. Can you see? These 2 methods are with the same name. These 2 methods are with the same name, but parameters are different. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem. You can do this. You can do this very well. You can do this. But you need to understand that whenever you're writing a property, whenever you're writing a calling, whenever you're writing an argument, you need to focus on the arguments. You can see here my function I'm calling, there's no error, but the argument is 5,8. So it knows that where it has to go. My function 5,8 will first search here, but it's not fitting in because it is asking for a string. It's not gonna go there. It's going to check now this one. Is it working here? Yes, it is working here because both are integers. It's gonna work. What about this one? This is again gonna go and this will fit in here because it is asking for a string. What I can do is I can now uncomment this also, and I can write one more function with the similar name. Okay, we can do this, and I can remove this from here. We can do this. Okay, so there is no meaning of given different functions name. Till the time you have different parameters, you can use the same function name again and again, right? So it becomes more easy for you to write the code. It's just that you need to take understanding of the parameters. You need to have an understanding of parameters. So right now in this one, this is because of 2 integers, it will go here. This is because empty, so it will go here. These 2 are having a string, so it will go here. And if I run this, same output you are going to get. Can you see that? Right? So this is called as method overloading. Okay. This is what is called as method overloading. This is what is called as polymorphism. Okay. I'll tell you. So in OOPS concept, we have something called as polymorphism, right? And in polymorphism, poly means many and morphism means forms. Poly means many morphism means forms. Okay, so many forms. So see, what is the meaning of many forms? One function, the name of the function is same, but it is having different forms. See, 1 2 and 3 different forms. That is what is called as polymorphism. Polymorphism is basically a concept of OOPS concept. It comes under OOPS concept, and it is having some 4 5 oops concepts, but polymorphism is having 2 concepts. So one is your method overloading and one is your method overriding. So I'm not going to talk about method overriding right now. I just wanted to show you what is method overloading, and that is what is method overloading, what is happening right away, right now. So this is one of the concept of polymorphism and which we have covered here. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Can we make the object of a string argument? A string argument is a parameter. We cannot create an object of a parameter. We do create an object of a class, right? If you talk about a string, yes, we can create an object of a string because a string is a predefined class. Just like a scanner is a predefined class, we can create an object of that. Similarly, we can create an object of a string, but string argument, this is a parameter. We cannot create an object of this. Okay, we can create an object of a class. So let me just put down one of the some questions, and let's try to see if you can understand. If you can give me the answer of that. Okay. So I hope this is done. Any doubt? Any doubt? Please do let me know. Till now, any doubt? Guys, please do subscribe the channel so that you guys can comment. If you're watching the session, you won't be able to put up a live chat. If anybody is trying and they're not being able to put down the questions, do subscribe. If you're not subscribed, you won't be able to put down the live chat. Any doubt till here? If no, then we'll move ahead. We'll move to the next part. Okay. So let's try to see what next we are going to see. See, I'm going to just remove this whole thing. Okay, we are going to also remove this whole thing, and I'm just going to write a particular method here. So let's say I'm going to write static int my method, and here I'm just going to give a variable, 2 variables. Let's say int A, int B, and here what I'm going to do is return x plus y. Okay, this is b, a plus b. Okay, this is what I'm doing here in this particular line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a another variable int c, in which I'm going to call the method with the values. So I'm just calling here, let's say 6, 8. Okay, and next what I'm going to do is I'm going to print it. Remember, where am I printing? I'm going to just print here at C. So do tell me what is the output of this. What will be the output of this? Guys, please do tell me what is the output of this. Okay, so let's run this. Now main.java, let's run it. And you can see what is the output of it. You can see it's 14, right? So basically what is happening? I am calling the my method, right? It is going there. It is returning, correct? So it's returning. The value is getting returned. So do not get confused between call by value and that. If you see it, look at this program. It was not returning anything because I've used their void. It was just saving the number here itself. It was not returning, right? But here in this code I have returned. So if you're thinking the answer will not be 14, no, it will be, because it is returning, it is coming back, and then in this we are printing the C part, right? So this is how we have covered our method, and I hope that you have understood all of this. If any doubts are there, please do let me know. Otherwise, we'll move to our next part. So this was all about methods. We'll complete this. We'll stop it here itself because I don't want to make it much more complex. At night 7 p.m. or maybe at 8 p.m. we'll come back with arrays. So we are going to learn how arrays in Java works, how we are going to use a single multi-dimensional or one-dimensional arrays, and what is jagged array, how the memory allocation happens, all of those things we are going to learn about array, how to fetch the date, how to fetch the values from the array, how to put some values in the array, all those things we are going to see in that. Okay, so if you guys have understood methods, please do ping in the live chat that I have understood. Where is Somu, Dibya, Rashmi, Anand, Ankita? Please do ping me in the live chat if you guys have understood methods. In polymorphism, again, methods will come, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, please do let me know if you have understood that. So you can join the Telegram channel. The link is in the given description. And there you'll be notified about all the sessions, all the upcoming live sessions of mine, whenever I'll come back. So all those will be told to you. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is CodeBeyond, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notification in the YouTube app as well. Also, please like and share so that you guys will be able, more and more number of people will be able to know about these sessions, and they can learn these things for free. Okay, so cool. I'll meet you at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. You will get an update in the Telegram soon, and please do join that to learn how arrays work in Java, right? So thank you so much, guys. Bye.